Hello folks, this is the third installment of the 3.05 lesson, New Strategies. This is a pretty long reading, so therefore that's why we're on the third part. So let's continue on with the halfway revolution. A prominent American historian has called the New Deal a halfway revolution. Even in America's worst economic crisis, the American people did not, like the Russians in 1917, turn to full-scale socialism. Nor did they fall prey to authoritarian rulers like those who had recently taken over Germany and Italy. Roosevelt, wanting neither of these extremes, chose a middle way. He said his goal was to save our system, the capitalist system, from crackpot ideas like communism, Huey Longism, Coughlinism, and Townsendism. Critics on the left say a bolder New Deal could have ended the Great Depression much sooner. Critics on the right say the New Deal actually made things worse, threatening free enterprise and encouraging dependence on government welfare. That argument will continue. Whatever its faults, the New Deal's major accomplishments are clear. It helped millions of families survive financial devastation. It benefited rural areas and offered new protection for workers. Its conservation and infrastructure projects improved the American landscape. The New Deal changed the role of the federal government and people's expectations of government in fundamental ways. The federal government took on new responsibilities for the well-being of Americans. Popular programs like Social Security made people look to the federal government as a protector of their welfare. The New Deal reflected Franklin Roosevelt's own temperament: optimistic, pragmatic, democratic, compassionate. In 1936, he summed up his own sense of his efforts to reshape American government. Better the occasional faults of a government that lives in the spirit of charity than the constant omissions of a government frozen in the idea of its own indifference. And here's a nice, really nice chart of major New Deal programs and whether they fall under the relief, recovery, or reform aspect. So I really encourage you to copy this down into your notebook. Look at this because this really is a nice chart that outlines the major programs, their categories of the three R's they fall into, and then also gives you a good short summary of what they were about. Because there will be a bit of this alphabet soup on the unit test or any quizzes, so you will want to be familiar with these most major programs. Okay, and then there's just an excerpt here on Eleanor Roosevelt, which I don't want to discredit her contributions, but in efforts to make this recording not hugely long, I'm not going to read through that in this recording, but certainly do read through that on your own because she was a very instrumental figure in American history as well. Very, a very positive force for change in the United States. Okay, so let's go back to today's lesson. Now we also need to complete the New Deal Relief, Recovery, and Reform online activity. So let's go through this. Okay, come on. Did I not click on it? Here it comes. The goals of the New Deal were to help hungry Americans bring the nation out of the Great Depression and make sure a similar economic catastrophe did not happen. Some New Deal programs had a specific goal, but many programs addressed more than one objective. Three main themes characterize New Deal programs: relief, providing money to ensure the unemployed people had basic necessities and creating jobs to put people back to work; recovery, taking steps at a national level to get the economy moving again; and reform, creating laws to restructure institutions such as banks, changing labor relations, and creating new social programs with the goal of making American capitalism stable and fair.
Read the description of the New Deal program and consider what the program's main goal might have been or whether it had more than one goal. Then drag the program to the correct place in the Venn diagram.
Okay, so we have relief recovery here on the left, which provide money and create jobs, take steps at a national level to get the economy moving. Reform on the right, restructure businesses to minimize unfair or unstable practices, establish a framework for strengthening and stabilizing the economy. So our first New Deal program, the Works Progress Administration, the WPA, created jobs for people in public works, research, and the arts. So is that relief, relief and recovery, or more reform, or all three? Creating jobs, that's relief. Let's put that there.
For nearly a
Correct.
decade, the WPA employed workers to build hospitals, schools, airports, playgrounds, and public structures such as bridges and dams. For a few years, the WPA also sponsored projects that employed artists, writers,
Okay, let's go on to the next one. Civilian Conservation Corps creating jobs for young men in the nation's parks. That's relief and recovery.
Correct. Over a period of 10 years, the CCC employed more than 2 million young men to plant trees, fight forest fires, and improve national parks.
Next, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, insured bank deposits so people who put money in a bank account would not lose money if the bank failed. That is reform, restructuring business practices.
Correct. The FDIC protected the deposits of individuals who put money in an FDIC-insured bank. If the bank failed, the FDIC would give the deposit to people who held them. The FDIC remains a source of security for modern-day bank customers.
The Agricultural Adjustment Act paid farmers to decrease production, talking about providing money.
Correct. In the Great Depression, agricultural surpluses drove prices so low that many farmers could not make a living. The AAA paid farmers to take some of their acreage out of production. As production decreased, prices rose and the farm crisis eased slightly. The AAA was later declared unconstitutional, though similar programs continue today.
The next one, the Social Security Administration developed an ongoing program to provide unemployment insurance, retiree pensions, disability insurance, and aid to poor children. So that is relief, but that is also reforming a framework for strengthening and stabilizing the economy. So I'm going to say it's all three.
Correct.
And I'm correct.
The SSA met all of the New Deal's goals and is still in existence today. Relief, money from a special Social Security tax on employers and employees, funded payments to people who were unemployed or unable to work due to disability, old age, or other circumstances. Recovery, the program helped the economy as people spent the money they received. Reform, the program guaranteed a more secure economic future for almost all Americans.
Security Exchange Commission provide a legal structure for the trading of stocks and other securities. That sounds like a framework for stabilizing and strengthening.
Correct. The SEC regulated the trading of stocks, bonds, and other securities and protected investors by ensuring fair practices. The SEC still serves in that role today.
Tennessee Valley Authority built dams and developed projects to bring electricity and flood control to the Tennessee River Valley. That sounds like relief and recovery.
The TVA created thousands of jobs for workers in 7 states, building dams that supplied hydroelectric power and protected the region from floods. Dams and power plants built by the TVA continue to provide electricity and flood control today.
Okay, and then next. Homeowners Loan Corporation work with economically struggling families to keep them from losing their homes. That sounds like relief and recovery.
Correct. The HOLC bought mortgages from loan institutions and then offered homeowners new mortgages with payments they could afford so they could keep their homes. The program helped more than 1 million Americans. The HOLC stopped lending money in 1935, but continued managing accounts until 1951.
Okay, we guys getting close to the end. National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, supervise relations between workers and employers. That sounds like reform.
Correct. The NLRB gave the federal government authority over relations between workers and employers. It guaranteed workers the right to organize, join unions, and bargain collectively with employers. The NLRB has enforced fair dealings between unions and employers ever since its creation.
Okay, and see we got a keyword. So copy it down, either copy paste or control C to get it copied or write it down. X out of here. And let's see what else there is for this lesson. A virtual field trip. Still after all these years, Franklin Roosevelt said, "The country needs, and unless I mistake its temper, the country demands bold, persistent experimentation. It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. The millions who are in want will not stand by silently forever while the things to satisfy their needs are within easy reach." And Franklin Roosevelt did try many things. Some are still with us today. Three New Deal programs that still exist are the Tennessee Valley Authority, the National Labor Relations Board, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and the Social Security Administration. What were these programs and why did they last? And then the virtual field trip takes you through these different websites just so you can see what they're about, their history, and learn a little bit more about them. And that's something you can do after you're done with today's lesson, just to learn a little bit more about those agencies so you feel like you know what they're about. So at the end, be sure to go to the, there's not a checkpoint here. Well, that's interesting. There is not a 3.05 checkpoint, but I believe you will see that activity perhaps in a review assignment. It's a nice activity to go through anyway. So good luck everyone, and we'll see you again in the next video.